Today we have another guest on the pod, and it's Mr. Adam from the Heart Songs podcast. Hello, Adam.
Hi.
So, since you are a podcast where you like talk about music, I wanted to do two things. First of all, I want to know your Oscar predictions, and also, I want to talk about a bit of soundtracks and the soundtracks which have been embedded into our brains ever since they came out many, many years ago. So let's start
Great.
with the pop culture portion. Tell me all about your Oscar predictions.
It's really funny because I'm usually a heavy cinephile, and I became a dad 2 years ago, so it's been so much harder to find time to enjoy, especially new cinema. But from what little I guess I'm hearing about who is even up for Oscars this year, I am really cheering on. I don't know if both of them got put up for it, or I don't know if maybe even Jesse got for both actor and director. But there's this movie that just came out called A Real Pain. Jesse Eisenberg wrote and directed it and starred in it with Kieran Culkin. I would be overjoyed if either of them got any attention, because I think the movie, especially for it being a really low budget like independent film, just really carries a very heavy emotional load for because I'm vaguely aware that there's at least some nominations coming. There's a movie called A Real Pain that was written and directed by Jesse Eisenberg, and he's also one of the lead actors in it. It's a great movie. It kind of revolves around the Holocaust and basically like kind of generational trauma and carrying that pain forward into your children and your children's children. But not only did Jesse Eisenberg do a great job directing it with a small budget, but he and Kieran Culkin, who he casted, to kind of co-star with him in it, just crush as far as their respective roles in it and how they're intended to kind of both balance out each other and butt up against each other. I just think it's outstanding. So if both of them got nominated actor-wise, that'd be great. And any other recognition Jesse might get for directing, I think would be great too. The other one that, because again, I don't have my head really in the Oscar noms, so this one might not even have gotten any recognition, but I'd like to just mention it because I think it's a great movie and I hope it does, is a movie called Heretic, which has Hugh Grant and a couple of younger female actresses in it. It's just an outstanding kind of cerebral horror movie that basically just deals with like faith and religion and that sort of thing, but in a really dark, like deconstructive kind of way. But Hugh Grant, who I love for all of his fun romantic comedy work and what have you, is just outstanding as the villain in this movie. And I think these young actresses who have done some other stuff but are more or less unknown, at least in the cinema world, like films, just really complement his performance in a really intriguing way. So if they get nominated, it would be awesome to see them win too, because I think they did a great job with that movie. But as far as my head is in the cinema world, those would be my hopes and my picks.
Okay, so both of them got nominated, and
Okay.
Kieran Culkin won a, what was it? A
Golden Globe or Critics'
no,
Choice or something? Yeah.
yeah, Critics' Choice Award. So I'm also
Yeah.
like, I am so happy for Kieran Culkin because he,
Yeah.
like, he shown,
Yeah.
overshone
Yes.
like Jesse Plemons, and I love Kieran Culkin ever since Succession. So
Yeah. Same.
it's so like interesting to see him play this like serious, but kind of not serious role, but of
Yes.
like, it was so beautiful. I cried buckets while watching it, but
Yeah.
I'm so happy that it got nominated. And also Hugh Grant. Every time I think about Hugh Grant, I have to think about like him playing the Oompa Loompa in Wonka. But I've heard that heroic, I think is the name. It
Heretic. Yeah.
Yes, that one. Heretic.
Mm-hmm.
Is a really really good, kind of like a manipulative one, but
It is.
it's a
Yeah.
mind game one. So I don't
Yep.
usually watch horror movies, but I will try to watch that one because like from what I've heard and read, it's a really
Yeah.
good movie.
I'll
But
tell you this as a method of trying to sell Heretic on you. You will be able to tell when you're going to want to turn the movie off as far as the horror element. Like, the cerebral part's the first half of the movie. And then after that, it definitely gets into some kind of glory stuff. So, I mean, you could keep watching it, and there's definitely some cool stuff in the end. But if you want to just hear all the brilliant dialogue of, again, just totally deconstructing faith and religion, it's all in the first half before you even really get super scared. So go in.
yes. So, other than those two, what else have you watched, or what else are your picks?
Um, well, again, it's a problem of time and the fact that I don't have a lot to go see newer movies. Let's see, because it's this award season, so we're talking about stuff that came out like within the last year. Um, I don't know if anybody would. I feel like superhero movies just get so drowned out when it comes to like Oscars that I doubt something like Deadpool versus Wolverine would get any Oscar attention. But that's kind of a shame because I think what Ryan and what's the director's name, Sean, pulled off with that thing is kind of exceptional. So yeah, it would be fun to see something, I guess, that nobody would assume is worthy of an Oscar. Like, get that kind, even if it doesn't get the award, like, even to just get nominated, I think it would be awesome because, again, they just pulled off something insane in that film.
Yes, but it didn't get any nominations. None of them
Say,
did.
oh, they
It
didn't?
didn't get any nominations. Which,
Yeah.
like, I'm so happy that Conclave got nominated because Ralph Fiennes did such an amazing job. He overshone Stanley Tucci and John Lithgow and this Isabella person. But yeah, as far as the Oscars, I have to say, like, I really want Dune to win. Then yes, Conclave, Ariel Payne, um, Emilia Perez. That was also really cool. But I'm surprised that Challengers didn't get any nominations.
I'm
That
ashamed to say I haven't heard of that one. Which one? What is Challengers about?
it's where Zendaya plays a tennis legend or a wife of a tennis legend, and she does questionable things to to get on top, I guess, or regain her power or fame again. But that
Oh,
was
that's
really
funny.
cool. Um,
Yeah, I feel like after that series, and I'm gonna forget the name of it. I feel like they're really just throwing her up against the wall and seeing what kind of uh, vulgarity they can squeeze out of her, which is really sad because she seems like a sweet girl. But yeah, that's interesting.
yes, I think you're talking about Euphoria.
Yes, Euphoria. Yeah,
I'm so
I
excited
didn't
for
see
the
it,
new
but I heard it
season.
was insane. Yeah,
Yeah, I think it will come out this year or next year, but we had to wait like many, many years, so I'm fine if I have to wait another year for that. But
yeah.
speaking of soundtracks, what is the one soundtrack of a movie or TV show, whichever you like, that you were just like in awe of when you're thinking about it or when the first time you heard it? And no, Hans Zimmer doesn't count.
That's really funny. Um, to be honest with you, there's one that comes right to mind, and I think it's almost an easy pick, mostly because the movie itself is a musical, and so the soundtrack is just a way to relive the movie. But there's a movie called Hedwig and the Angry Inch. If you're familiar with it, it's a John Cameron Mitchell movie about a what would you call it? It's either transgender or transsexual um, rock and roller that is basically just chasing a more famous ex-boyfriend on the road, trying to get like, um, I guess, credit for the fact that she wrote all of his famous stuff, and then as she's playing all these shows and trying to get a photo op with him or something to prove they know each other. She's basically telling her story, like her life story, to the audience, or basically to like her
I
band
think
members
yes,
and
I
people
have
around her.
seen.
Yeah,
Is it with a blonde girl, or am I mistaken
she
that for
does. Yeah,
an?
had like her
Oh
wigs
yes,
was
yes.
this giant blonde wig. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
But I mean, in that, the music in it is just so beautifully written and tells the story so well. The soundtrack's just kind of an easy pull because it's just those songs. So it's favorite film soundtracks. That's right up there. That's top five for me. How about you?
Oh, I think the one is obviously Christopher Nolan's Batman, but also like the other one was um obviously Star Wars, but that's a given.
Yeah,
And that's Hans. Is it Hans Zimmer? Or am I mistaken? I think so.
for Star Wars? No, that was John Williams.
Oh yeah, that's that one. No, but another thing I really liked was I've like Dune part one and two, but or like Challengers also had a really interesting, um, a really like interesting sound mixing. But I think the one, if I have to like tell you at the top, I can't speak. If I have to like tell you out of the top of my head, would be I think what is it? The zone of interest, solely because there is a segment
Oh,
or like in a section of the movie where the sound completely goes away and you're just left with what you ever like, something you're seeing in the movie, and it's a Holocaust movie. And well, I was debating on watching it because obviously I'm like from Austria, so I have heard of this, I have read of this, we've even went to the camp in Austria several times, so it was very traumatizing. And so watching that movie was traumatizing again. But there's the thing with the sound. It was like you're just left, like you think you, also like the sound is gone, but you hear this like beeping sound, so it's your brain is like, okay, like am I having a tinnitus, or is it the movie? But it's the movie. But it's that one was like, I was like, I didn't know what to do for that, I don't know, 5 seconds or even or 5 minutes. But yeah, that was a difficult one to watch, or like to
yeah. It's funny you
go
should
through.
mention that because, like, in the vein of what you're describing, it brought back to my mind that I've always been surprised at how well the soundtrack for The Social Network works for it. And I mean, it's a Fincher film, and David Fincher is very good at making kind of dark, cerebral films. But there's just something about Trent Reznor and that whole kind of Nine Inch Nails camp trying to like score a movie, and you get into kind of like the grittiness of all these dissonant sounds and the way that just heightens the tension of these young uh, you know entrepreneurs trying to make something great. It's every time I watch that movie, I'm just surprised at how I don't know how not distracting the soundtrack is, considering, especially with like an Aaron Sorkin script, like it doesn't actually it it's as if it wasn't written for the occasion. Like I don't think the I don't think Aaron Sorkin was ever even like brought into any of the meetings about should we do it. I think it was exclusively just kind of Trent Atticus and David Fincher. But there's something about I don't know the kind of just the way all of it came together that it you kind of can't hear that movie without that soundtrack, if that makes sense. And that's always surprised me because it is uh, so seemingly unfit to the subject matter, and yet it works perfectly.
And I think like we talked about movies, but I think one of the TV show like theme songs, I guess, which immediately like strikes a bone, I guess, in your brain is, or to me that's the case. I think it's like it's either Succession, but also
Yeah.
like Breaking Bad, because every time I hear this song, I'm like, oh, the, my childhood. Like,
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
it's
Good
very
example.
interesting to me. Like, or like now, like with the White Lotus, like it will be. Its third season will be released, but every time you hear the song either on TikTok or on in another like platform, you're like, oh, okay, this is White Lotus. So
Yep.
it's very interesting what like sound can make you associate with.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I mean, this feels unassociated, but hopefully it'll make some degree of sense. I was just talking to my fiance the other day about like names, meaning like people's names, and how, in the same sense that like when we think of the band Nirvana, like just saying that name will bring to your mind like "Smells Like Teen Spirit" or "Heart Shaped Box" or any of your favorite of their songs. Like it took them becoming that iconic band that they were for the name to have any meaning. And similarly, it's kind of like if your name was, Stacy, or if your name was
Hmm.
like over time, your behavior would form the name to you, if that makes sense. Like you define what that name becomes by who you are. And so, yeah, similarly, it's kind of like, even though something, and it's a great example of Succession, where that music, that really aggressive, almost out of tune piano, just feels like it has no place in a show about like high powered executives and kind of familial espionage. But like on a long enough time scale, as you get sucked into the show, and the show is great. Every time you put the show on, and the opening scene happens and it cuts to that music, your emotions like love the music more because the show's so great. And so, yeah, it's funny the impact that like the quality of the show will have on its theme song, and vice versa.
But like with the example of Succession, is like y- right with time you kind of like understand. Okay, this is like because all of the characters are assholes, and
Yeah,
so you, so you're like, okay, this the theme song makes sense. Like
yeah,
same with The Walking Dead. You have zombies and you have people who are running away from them, so it makes sense. But I don't know, it's so fascinating to me, like music in general. Like I have so many memories with one song, or with an artist, and I'm like, oh, that was like 17 years ago, that was like 5 years ago. And it's so fascinating to me that how one piece of like lyric or sound can like make so many emotions and so many memories come back to the surface of your brain, if
yeah,
that makes sense.
totally. Yeah,
So you have a podcast,
yep.
and you feature like music on there, and I want to know, like, why did you start the podcast, or like what made you start a podcast, and just tell me about it.
Well, it's my second podcast. I had one before called "A Guy, a Car, a Podcast" that I did for like 3 years, and that was more of the kind of thing similar to what you do, where I was like the host of it, and sometimes it was just solo episodes where I was just kind of talking out my thoughts or my day or my week to whoever listened, and sometimes I'd have friends or really good guests on, and we get to talk about whatever. But to answer your question, my reason for getting into podcasting in general, almost purely ego, like just that I like to be the center of attention and things, and I like to share my thoughts and my opinions about stuff, and it seemed like a really cool place to do that, which I guess makes it then interesting where my podcasting journey went as far as the current podcast, because I'm technically the host, but I actually call myself a facilitator because I'm not really in the podcast. Like I recorded an intro to the show, and then I record intros to each episode of like what guest is about to, talk to you, and then I'm gone. And the rest of the episode is them telling you, the audience, about their heart songs, like a series of songs at special moments in their life, and why those songs are special to them. So it's been kind of interesting and fun in a whole different way to get out of the way of a product and just
Mhm.
create a podcast that lets other people tell their story and doesn't really need my opinion, if that makes sense. So, yeah, I got into it to get attention, and now I'm trying to draw that attention to other people, to their stories, because that's more valuable to me.
So, who would your dream guest be?
Honestly, Heart Songs is based on a song called Heart Songs. That's a track from Weezer's 2008 Red album. Based
Hmm.
on that, as weird as it sounds, my dream guest would be Rivers Cuomo, the guy that, the singer of Weezer, that wrote that song. Which is kind of dumb that would be my dream guest, because Heart Songs, the song he wrote, explains all of his heart songs. That's kind of the point of it. So it's not like he wouldn't really be able to be a good guest, because if you want to hear his heart songs, just listen to the song he wrote. But I I enjoy I would enjoy giving the opportunity of the man who birthed the idea that birthed the show to like be on it. I don't know. There's something very um, I don't know why it's just a circle. Like it just kind of it would close the loop, I guess you could say, of the show if he were to be on it.
When you said ego, I was like thinking of why I started this podcast. It was because I just want to see, I want to like see, like take a leap of faith and see like, okay, where is this podcast going? And then I realized that it requires far more work than than I anticipated,
Yeah,
especially when you're like literally like running after guests and
yeah,
emailing them and DMing them like, oh, like, does this like work for you? Does this time work for you? Does this date for you? Because like I'm like most of like from the US, I'm like 9 hours away or 8 hours
yeah,
away, so it's like very difficult. But then people are like,
yeah,
I would like DM them, they would be like, you know what, I don't want to be on your show. I'm like, okay, that's fine, but why did you like why did you like
yeah,
make me chase you so many weeks? And so
yeah. That's
it's
not cool.
it's a struggle, and I don't want to like, I'm like a very
Yeah,
perfectionist person, so I don't want to like hire someone being like, you do all the job and let me just record and upload. So it's a vicious cycle, as I like to say. But speaking of vicious
yeah.
cycles, what was the best like um what was the best like movie in like that you have seen recently?
If you mean something that just came out, or you mean like just of every movie I've ever seen?
No, like recently. I don't know, like five. I don't know, 5 weeks, 1 month, whatever. You
Oh,
choose
okay.
like recently, you
Well,
know.
yeah, I don't want to let you down. I haven't seen anything new that was that recent yet. I've heard a lot about Wicked, and it's kind of on my radar to go see at some point. But I think honestly, Heretic might be like, as long ago as that was, might be the newest movie that I saw and really enjoyed. But yeah, I wish I had a better answer for you than that. I'm just in a weird space in my
I
life
think
with
like
my daughter.
for Wicked, I have to say it's a really good one,
Yeah,
but it's a bit long, but it's a good one. But like if you enjoyed like
that's
Wizards of
funny.
Oz, it's a good one.
Yeah.
But and also like the set pieces, especially the Emerald City, it was so beautiful. But
Oh wow.
I have to say like Ariana did an amazing job. Okay, but Cynthia Erivo, she did so well. Like she wasn't on my radar. Now she is on my radar.
Wow.
Yes, she like she was like, Ariana, just stay here. Like I will, I'm the star of the show, and she really killed it. I didn't like the falsetto she would do, the like like the all the breath, like the breath control she would do. It was so perfect, and it's a very I always described Wicked as the Barbie movie of last year,
Wow.
and because it has so many like there are so many Easter eggs, but also like so many like commentary on socials on the social system, but also like other stuff which I don't want to spoiler. But yeah, Wicked was amazing, and I was like, ugh, another musical, wow. But then I watched Wicked, and I was like what? It was really good.
Oh, that's cool. I look forward to seeing it.
Yes, I'm also very excited for like Wicked Part 2 because of the cliffhanger. Oh yeah, there is a cliffhanger in the kid if
Yeah,
you
I
didn't.
heard like they say turned
And
the
it's
whole
so
stage
beautiful.
play into two movies, and
It's so brutal. The cliffhanger, like it's worse than Severance season 1. I don't know if you have seen the show.
not yet. I hear all the good stuff about it, but as annoying as this probably is, like I think part of why I haven't seen Severance is because I'm annoyed that they're making me go to another streamer. Like, well,
Hmm.
could you just stop costing me more money? Like, I've got all these subscriptions. Put it somewhere I already am. Stop making me come to you. So I'm sure it's a great show, and I'll totally binge it probably after it's already wrapped up. But yeah, I I don't know. Apple TV didn't come out very strong with like great material, and so I wasn't running to see it. And then Severance just started getting all sorts of good press, and I'm like, someday Apple TV, someday I'm gonna come over there and check you out.
Oh my god! Another like I think another thing with Apple is like yes the cost, but also it's so good. Like the quality of the shows are so like crisp and so clear, and it's just it's just breathtaking. Like another one is Silo. That's really good, but also like Foundation, also really good. But like For All Mankind and uh yes, For All Mankind and one other. Oh yeah, Lessons in Chemistry is also really good. So you have a lot of shows to watch once you switch to Apple TV Plus.
If I'm being honest, the one that came out recently, not well, I guess it's all Apple TV, is actually a movie. The now I can't remember the name of it, but the one that Matt Damon and Casey Affleck just put out about it's like I guess a real life story about a heist that some guys tried to pull off that went all wrong. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
Do you mean Wolfsman? That's with
No, there was a movie.
yes,
Oh,
that's
is
a
that the name of
movie.
it? I'm sorry.
I don't know. I wait, hold on. This one had Clooney in it and Ben Affleck. I
No,
think.
uh-uh.
Okay, no, no.
No, it's Matt Damon and Casey Affleck, like Ben's little brother.
Mm,
Yeah.
no, I have not seen that one, but
Okay.
I'm sure it will be great because it's
Yeah, it just came out on Apple
Apple
TV,
TV
and
Plus.
yeah, it looks like basically they tried to they're making a dark comedy, which is just right up my alley, and I, it's just I'm a big Casey Affleck fan. I don't know how deep you go with him, but like, you know, Manchester by the Sea to I don't know, even back to like Goodwill Hunting and how much he like kind of steals a few scenes in that. I'm just a fan, so it's I'm delighted. Yeah, I'll watch that at some point.
I'll watch it as well. It sounds interesting. Um, I was about to ask you like what what independent movies do you or like have you seen or do you watch like from like A24 like what if you have seen any A24 movies what is or was or will be probably your like favorite A24 movie.
Great question. I think Heretic might actually be an A24 movie, so I'm
It is,
glad
yeah.
to throw that one on the thing. But it was either last year or the year before when A24 like swept the Oscars.
Mm.
I loved the hell out of Everything Everywhere All at Once and The Whale. Like those two movies, obviously being very different movies, were both just brilliant in their own ways.
I have not watched The Whale yet, and I refuse to watch it because it's very traumatizing for me. Like it's very triggering for me.
Interesting.
As yes, because I had an eating disorder, so that's very triggering for me.
Got it.
That's why I don't watch it. But I love
Fair
like
enough.
Brandon Fraser. But yeah, I would agree. Like the will and everything, everything everywhere all at once
Yeah.
was amazing.
Yeah.
Especially that scene with the two like s- two stones.
Yes. The rocks on the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
Have you? Did you nerd out enough where like I forget where I heard it in an interview or something like that, but where the lead actress, who forgive me for being a little bit of an American here and just not remembering her name because it's Asian and I
Michelle Yeoh.
don't have a good memory for it. I think she was talking with the director in the editing bay because I guess they'd already like shot it and they'd already recorded audio parts, and it was actually her idea that she's like, you know, when you talk about what's supposed to be happening in this scene between like the mother and daughter, there would be more tension if you couldn't hear them speaking. And then basically they kind of like shoehorned that idea into why don't we make it subtitled, and just how brilliant that made that scene, because in the quiet, like considering they're supposed to be transporting you back into time before like amoebas had crawled out of the seas here on Earth. Like it was just this primordial time, and how quiet the actual Earth would be without all that noise going on. But then with these two characters in this really bizarre sense, kind of placed in these two rocks, and then to still have them present inside of the tension of what they're going through in that section of the movie where they're just flying through all these different, I don't know, through the multiverse, all this stuff, and then having them like converse and connect. Just it delights me to no end that it was the lead actress's idea to create additional tension in that scene.
That was beautiful. I love A24 because you get one like you think, oh, this movie is going this like direction, especially with Fresh. I don't know if you watched Fresh, have seen Fresh. It's very interesting without spoiling, but as a like you think, okay, this movie is going this direction, or this movie will be about this, and then boom, it's not. It's something completely different, and you're just left with questions, but also like, what the fuck did I just watch? Or you're left with like many mind fucks, and you're just like, okay, I found myself like watching like thinking about certain scenes in Everything Everywhere All at Once or Fresh many days before, like after the movie. And
Yeah,
it's just, I don't know, it's I like I'm so happy because they started as an independent like studio, but now they're big, and I'm very curious about their journey. Like um Challengers was also A24, and this one movie Opus is also A24. It's a movie about like it's a movie with John Malkovich and Ayo Edebiri, and John Malkovich plays, how to describe it? It's like he's a rock star, but he is a retired rock star, but comes back, and he has an island. I think you're are trying, like, I think you know where I'm going with this. With he has a private island, stuff happens on this private island, so it's
oh,
very interesting and very like A24ish because it's supposed to be a horror, but it's kind of not. The mystery, I have no idea how to pinpoint this, but I'm very excited about that movie. But yeah, A24 has a soft spot in my film enthusiast being.
sure. Sure. Me too. I mean, yeah, especially after that. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure if I went far enough back, like if I got on, Google and found a list of all the A24 films, I mean, I'm sure they captured my attention 10 years ago. But yeah, as of that last year with those few big monster hits, yeah, I I am. It's. I mean, although the trailer was great, it's one of the reasons I wanted to see Heretic so bad, because I'm like, this studio is doing great work, and I want to see what they do. Not to mention, I grew up Mormon, and still, kind of dabble. So it was interesting to see that the protagonists of the movie were Mormon, like, female missionaries, and I'm like, that is the subject that is not, especially in the
I'm out of my questions, so I'm rolling out the red carpet for you. Promote
Oh, okay.
whatever you want.
I mean, aside from it just being lovely to talk with you, and I deeply appreciate you having me on your show, I'm here to promote Heart Songs, the podcast. It's available wherever you get podcasts. It's a cool show because it's actually kind of short form. The episodes are anywhere from like 6 minutes to, I mean, I've had a couple register over 30, but for the most part, it's just an artist that's coming on to tell you stories about their favorite songs, and I make it fun by weaving in clips of the songs so you get a taste of it, and you can like look in the description to get a link to listen to the whole song if you want to. But yeah, it's just a song about people getting to explain what inspires them and what has impacted their lives through the lens of songs that have kind of been the soundtrack of those moments. So please, Heart Songs the podcast, wherever you find your podcast, listen to it, and let me know if you love it. The show's on all the socials, the Instagram and Facebook and all the fun places. Shoot me a message. Let me know if you like it.
That's great. As you guys know, that this podcast is available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, on YouTube. The video version will always go on YouTube, and I have an announcement, but that one will be announced tomorrow because this podcast episode will be out tomorrow, and
Nice.
along with another secret I have. So stay tuned for that. And I wish you a great day, night. And Adam, thank you so much for being on the pod. And I'm very curious to know about your show and who will be a guest on your show. So, and also I'll tell you when I have seen Heretic, and you tell
Yes,
me
please.
when you have seen Wicked. And so,
Yes.
yes, like I said, I wish you a great, what is it? Night. Now it's 3 p.m. or 4 p.m., whatever. So it's
Yeah.
a great afternoon, and I will talk soon.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.